Hey guys, welcome back to part 2 of the DIY farmhouse table build. If you missed part 1, I'll leave a link in the description below. Some of you have been asking how much the materials cost for this project, and they ran about $50 including the polyurethane. We appreciate your support, thanks for watching, and let's get started. Here's a quick update about the Vise restoration. After the Vise video, I had been contacted by one of our subscribers who happens to be my cousin, and he was interested in doing some research on the name that I found on the bottom of the Vise. Jim Crittlecose is how I pronounced it. And after his research, he came back to me and he said, I think it's Jim Crittlecose. And he found pictures of the guy who owned this Vise, who happened to be from Benson, Arizona, and was stationed in Vietnam in 1965 as a staff sergeant. And not only did he find this information, he sent me some really cool pictures of this guy from the military. And I'm going to blend those in right now. I want to thank John, my cousin, for the information. I found it really interesting and just adds to the history of this Vise. Just a little background. This is the table that I had restored last year. We bought it at a thrift store for about $25. And everyone said it's never going to survive the weather. And you guys were right. The first thing I needed to do was figure out the placement for the legs. And what I did was I just placed the tabletop on the sawhorses and realized that the design of the tabletop created a nice frame and also just gave a logical placement for the legs. Now that I had the location for the legs defined, it was just a question of taking some measurements and now fabricating the trestles. These rough-sawn 4x4 table legs have real unique features on all sides. So first thing I wanted to do is figure out which side I wanted to be most visible. And I'm going to be using lap joints and half lap joints. So I'm now doing the layout to where the 2x4 will meet the 4x4. The first test fit shows that the 2x4 is just a little bit proud of the 4x4, so I take a little bit more off with the chisel. And after that's smoothed out, I take it to a next level that isn't necessary, but I got the belt sander, so I figured why not try it. And I ran the belt sander over it, and it gave it a real nice smooth finish. Definitely not necessary though. This electric hand planer came in handy for squaring off the edges of this dimensional lumber. What I wanted to do was have nice square edges so that when two boards meet, there'll be a nice tight seam. Now that all the pieces have been prepared, I begin assembly. I make sure that I pre-drill all of my holes and countersink the screws as well. I'm also using Titebond 3 exterior grade waterproof glue. I finished construction of the two trestles. As you can see, they're two-toned, and that was intentional. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to kind of refine the edges a little bit using a random orbital sander. And then what I'm going to do is take a piece of 2x4, and I'm going to notch this out here and on the other side and make a connecting piece. Now that the cross bracing is complete, I've flipped the tabletop upside down on sawhorses, placed the base on top of it, and attached it with the pocket holes and pocket screws that you can see here. Now that the legs are attached to the tabletop, I want to figure out how I'm going to fill any kind of cracks and any kind of divots and damage to the tabletop. I want to thank everybody for their suggestions. I went through them very carefully. These are the two items that I have. And one I read really good reviews and saw some great videos on YouTube about. And it's interior exterior wood filler from Elmer's. And I'm hoping that this natural color will be close to what the wood looks like. I think I'm going to get a piece of 2x4 and I'm going to cut it and create a skirt from that leg over to this leg. And then fit it in the 2x4 and then secure it with pocket holes. But I'm going to cut it first and see how it looks. So I decided to put these two pieces in to interconnect the legs, and it also gave me an opportunity to put another pocket screw in right there on top on each side going into the and I used a 2.5-inch pocket screw going into the 2x4, and hopefully it made it a little bit into that leg as well. So the more stability, the better. What I did was I took the Elmer's Pro Bond wood filler, the one in the squeeze tube, and I went around and I filled all the pocket holes. And I tell you, it was very convenient in the squeeze tube. I could stick the nozzle of the tube right into the pocket hole, squeeze it, and really get it way down deep into that pocket hole. It was actually kind of nice. So I'm going to let this dry up real good, sand it, and then start finishing this table. This morning I began finishing the underside of the table. And what I'm using is an oil-based satin polyurethane on the entire project. And what I did was I started with the legs and went down and then did the end of this 2x4. And that's when I realized, I don't know if you can see it, I hope you can see it in the color. That's when I realized that although I had cleaned these legs with mineral spirits, they were still giving off a little bit of soot. And as a result, they were discoloring my polyurethane. So what I did was I carefully went around and cut in around the 2x4s and just sealed the legs. Basically, the first coat is going to just seal the soot so that when I do a second coat, the pine will not be discolored. By the way, this is right here, this repair is the oil-based wood putty that I had, and I mixed it with some oil-based dark brown stain that I use. I just finished putting the first coat of polyurethane on the underside of the table. This is the Elmer's Pro Bond and what it looks like after it's been polyurethaned. And it's not too bad. I want to try to show you the results of the wood filler after sanding it with a 240 grit on a random orbital sander. And you can see the line right here that's been filled. And the color on it is pretty darn good. What I'm really trying to do is make sure that I've got any kind of over smear off of it. I see I have a little bit more right here to get. But otherwise, I'm going to back up so you can see what it would look like from a little further back. And again, there's the line right here, right under my finger. There we go. Pretty good. Let me see if I can find another area. And I can see right here, I got to get a little more off. When I get the glare just right, you can see where there's some remaining oversmear. And if I don't get that off, it's going to really affect the color of the polyurethane. Last night, before I closed up shop, I decided to fill some of the cracks and the surface imperfections on the table using this product right here. And what I learned from my experimentation on the bottom side of the table was that if you use this product and really let it thoroughly dry before trying to sand it, the results are actually pretty darn good. And after the polyurethane, it's not a perfect match, but it's certainly an acceptable color compared to some of the other fillers I've tried. Okay, the first coat of polyurethane is dry, and the first coat basically serves to seal the surface. What I'm going to do now is use some 000 steel wool as well as a 3M scrubby pad to take the shine off of the surface. That'll prepare it for the second and third coat of polyurethane. This was the reason that we built the tool shed out of straw bale. Now I have enough room in the tent to bring a project like this inside, get it out of the wind and the elements, and get the second coat of polyurethane on it. Well, if you guys made it through that long video, we appreciate you sticking around. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to our channel. The next project that we're starting is our house build. We're going to be building our home out of straw bales. And if you've been following us over the past year or so, you know that we've built 2 structures already out of straw bale, including this one that's right behind me, the one we call the solar shed. So we'll be starting that next build in a couple days. Materials got delivered yesterday. Should be exciting. Stick around for it.